RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD. You want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Tuesday, August 13th, and I will be taking a look at the 9-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings for tonight. Was going to be joined by Derek Hardy, but last minute news. He's not here. You don't see him. He's not here. Maybe it's going to be on later on crunch time. Maybe he will be. I don't know. But remember, 5 p.m. Eastern, Grinders Live. 6:15 p.m. Right afterwards is crunch time. You got Dean and the guys for about an hour or so, and then Kevin Roth will come on. They'll go position by position, give the weather updates. I don't think there's any weather problems today whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about that. I don't think, at least. But you could find that out later today on the YouTube channel. But hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those thumbs. Hit that thumbs up button. Give me the like button. Give me the subscribe button. Give me the notification bell to always know when we go live. This is kind of a first look for today's slate. 9 games. We got 3 teams with over a 5 implied run total. We got some healthy totals today, right? Because we don't have the greatest of pitching today. Not horrible, but I mean, really not aces. Maybe one, maybe. I mean, we got a couple of decent pitchers, but we got some healthy totals. We got, the Rangers over a 5.5. We got Twins. We got some team. We got some stacks to play. I think I'm much more likely to have a lot more stacks that I'd be willing to play than pitchers on today's slate. But let's take a look at the pitchers first, and then. The pitchers on today's slate are affordable. I mean, obviously, this time of the season, we start getting, a lot more, value bats. So, like, spending up on pitching is not necessarily as difficult as it normally is. So you could always, throw in some $2,200 guy that probably shouldn't be $2,200, and it kind of makes your lineup work. And a lot of the stacks already have, like, cheap pieces. You may not be able to play 1 to 5 on the team, but you'll always find, 1 or 2 guys at the bottom of the order, 3,200, 2,600, that type of stuff. So stacks shouldn't be an issue either. But pitching isn't really expensive. I mean, the most expensive pitcher on the slate is Seth Lugo at 9,300, and I don't know how much interest I have in him against Minnesota, but I mean, I guess he's viable, right? He's viable. But I think the bunch of pitchers are kind of like up here in the like the 8K range. I think the top pitcher on the slate, Seth Lugo isn't the most expensive pitcher. Michael King is the most expensive pitcher at 9,500, and rightfully so. He has this high strikeout prop. It should be, by the time it closes, maybe 7.5. Right over here, it says 6.5 minus 160 here on lineup HQ. Facing the Pirates, is his ownership going to be 50%? I don't know if it's going to be that high, but it's going to be high. He's probably going to be the most owned pitcher on the slate, Michael King. Maybe 40-ish%, 42% owned, something like that. And I really can't find any flaws in Michael King. I mean, 7-9, 6-9. I mean, he has all the strikeouts. Facing the Pirates, good matchup. So Michael King, probably the top pitcher on the slate. And then after that, I think there's like a bucket of other pitchers, right? Because Michael King projects 3 points. This is the bat that you're looking at on the screen. 3 points higher mean projection than any other pitcher on the slate. So that makes sense. And then there's kind of this bucket of like Blackburn, Cortez, Morton, Rodriguez, Gausman, like kind of right there. But I mean, these are all, Blackburn 7,500, Gausman's 9,000. There's a $1,500 kind of range in between. It shouldn't be an issue, even with your stacks today. Out of this bunch, let's first talk about Eduardo Rodriguez. Understand that he had one start coming back from injury, 5 innings pitched. Probably doesn't pitch more than 80. I mean, the bat has him at 80, 85, something like that. Good matchup against Colorado, but pitch count concerns to me, at least. The way that I play GPPs is that I tend to side with pitchers that either can strike out a bunch of guys or can pitch a long time, right? Preferably both. But I'm perfectly fine not playing Eduardo Rodriguez at 8,700, even in a good matchup. He has to be efficient, and he's not. Truthfully, he's not really that efficient of a pitcher, right? We've seen plenty of times in his career, most of the time, that he can pitch 102 pitches and he's still not out of the fifth inning, right? And he may still have 6 strikeouts or something. So, yeah. Can you take a shot on him? No, you're not crazy. He's viable. I put him like Lugo, like in a bad matchup, viable. The C bucket, right? If you're not new to the show, you know my buckets: A bucket, B bucket, C bucket. I put Eduardo Rodriguez in the C bucket, right? Michael King in the A bucket. I think everyone else is in the B bucket. Really, what I'm considering on this slate. So that'd be Blackburn, Cortez, Morton, and Gausman. Gausman's facing the Angels, which is a pretty decent matchup. I think this spot is a higher variance spot, meaning that I don't mind playing the Angels and Gausman. Obviously, not in the same lineup, but Gausman, we saw. I mean, he had a bad start, and then he had like a great start from a real life perspective, but he only had 2 strikeouts in 8 innings. Walked 3, gave up 3 hits. So you could see this fluctuation. Some of his starts, he has like 3, 4 strikeouts. Some of his starts, he has 8, 9, 10 strikeouts. So do you get good Gausman? Do you get bad Gausman? I have no idea, right? So I don't mind playing Gausman at lower ownership pitching wise, but I also think that the Angels are going to be kind of lower owned also. And I when we get the stacks, you'll see. I don't mind the Angels today. But we got Morton at 8,500 against San Francisco. Probably has maybe the longest leash out of this bunch. Maybe close. Good ballpark. I mean, pretty decent matchup. Morton's okay. He's okay. I'm never excited to play Charlie Morton. Are you ever excited? I'm not. But he's fine, right? Sometimes he can get into trouble. Sometimes he can walk 4 or 5 guys. But most against San Francisco, it should be fine. Does he has 10 strikeout upside? I don't know about that, but he can put in a solid start at 8,500. We got Cortez against the White Sox, and I know yesterday was opposite day. Luis Gil didn't do all that well, but then the Yankees bullpen just floodgates opened on that. So the White Sox, even though they were the F tier yesterday, they came through. They came through. Of course, if you played them with Sale and Snell, you probably won it all. Very low on stack yesterday, but I don't mind Cortez against the White Sox. Am I thrilled about playing Nestor Cortez? No, I'm not. I'm not thrilled. I put him in the same category as Morton, right? Just okay. I mean, he could get into trouble also. The guy that I like the most actually is Paul Blackburn, and I think well, I don't know how old he's going to be. We have him at 32% in the bat. He may be less because people don't think of Paul Blackburn as a pitcher that they want to play. He's 7,500, so he's considerably cheaper than like a Michael King or Seth Lugo or Kevin Gausman. But people think of him as like not a strikeout pitcher because he's not a strikeout stuff type of pitcher. But really, this year, I mean, his strikeout prop is commensurate with Cortez or Eduardo Rodriguez or Kevin Gausman, right? It's not that far behind, right? And we see and he's facing Oakland, which obviously I have to bring up, right? For all the narrative people, it's a revenge game, right? Of course. Obviously, that doesn't matter, but I have to bring it up anyway. But we see Paul Blackburn. I mean, he's been striking people out. Not necessarily every start, but I mean, 6 in the past 2 against Colorado, 6. Angels, 6. These are good matchups. Seattle's a strikeout matchup, 5. Right? Baltimore, Yankees, 5, 5, 7 versus the Cardinals. So yeah, there are 2s, 3s, and 4s, intermixed in there. But to say that Paul Blackburn can't strike out 7 or 8 today, can he? Sure. Will he? I don't lower probability, but can he get 5 or 6 strikeouts against Oakland, pitching in New York and City Field? It doesn't matter. I mean, both their stadiums, Oakland and New York, are pitchers' parks more so than not. But I think maybe less people click on his name because they think, oh, Paul Blackburn, oh, the guy that throws 6 or 7 innings with 3 strikeouts and get you 14 points. They don't see the upside here. I think, the betting market says that he has about as much upside as Cortez and Gausman. So I'd rather play Blackburn for even less salary. So is he A tier to me? No. He's probably the top of the B tier. And those are the pitchers that I'm looking to play today. I'm playing 1 to 3 lineups. Typically I play smaller, mid-sized field. Single entry 3 max. I typically throw them in like the mini max or something large field just to see what wins the large field contest. And typically it's profitable anyway. But that's like kind of the pool, right? Eduardo Rodriguez is like C tier, but I'm not even gonna. I'd rather take a shot on like maybe even a Gavin Stone or a Kyle Harrison or Cutter Crawford, kind of cutting it there. Then play a guy that probably doesn't pitch more than 80 pitches. But if you want to take a shot on Eduardo Rodriguez, I don't fault you for it. So my pitching pool is primarily going to be King, Blackburn, Cortez, Morton, Gausman. Although, like I said about Gausman, I don't mind playing the Angels. Everyone else is kind of, I don't think so. Right? We got cheap nonsense, like Dave Potts would say. I don't think there's a need for it personally. Right? I think there's enough value in bats that you're not going to have to go down and Zebby Matthews 7,700. I'm not even Austin Gomber, the Jose Urena. I mean, even the cheap nonsense isn't that cheap. Maybe Ross Stripling at 6K against the Mets. Why do you want to do that to yourself? I don't know. It's not like any of these cheap guys really have like high strikeout upside, right? I guess, right? That's really cheap. Now 3.5s on the strikeout props. Jonathan Cannon against the Yankees. No, I'm not doing that. So to recap, my pitching pool is King, Blackburn, Cortez, Morton, Gausman. And then if you want to take a shot on Eduardo Rodriguez at 8,700 against Colorado, I don't think you're crazy. I'm not doing it, but you're not crazy. So let's go to stacks. You know what I do here with the stacks? But the stacks A, B, C, D, and F. And these are 5-man stacks on DraftKings. Okay? And this is ownership adjusted, which means the team is too owned, that I think is too owned, they start moving down in the tiers. If they're under-owned, they start moving up in the tiers, right? So this is based on ownership as well as projection. And it's 5-man stacks, right? So there may be a good team that you could play 2 or 3 batters from, but maybe the 5-man not so great in my eyes, right? So they may be ranked down. So you can play it. Hey, you can play 1 batter on a team in the D or the F tier or whatever. That doesn't stop you from doing. You can't play anyone from a team that's really lowly rated or too high owned. You can play 1 batter, 1-offs and stuff like that. That isn't this tier list. It's 5-man stacks on DraftKings. Okay, let's start from what I see from the BatX stacks page, which highlights everything. The average 5-man stack mean projection, cost, ownership, etc., which you can get here at RotoGrinders if you sign up for the add-on. You should already be a Combo Premium member, right? You should already be that. You should already be, an MLB. You should already be reading Cheese's $1 Million Musings every weekday. You should already be getting our projections, our ownership, our Plate IQ tool, our expert survey, everything that we have here for MLB DFS as well as NFL, right? You get NFL, you get NBA and NHL, you get everything, PGA, MMA, everything. You should already get that, right? If you didn't, click on the link in the description. You get $40 off your first month. But I'm looking at the BatX stack projections page, and it's like there's one team at the top, and then like there's a little second tier, and then there's kind of like a blob third tier, and then the fourth tier is like you just throw out. Even though the White Sox did score 12 runs yesterday. But the top projected team on the slate are the Yankees again, even though they failed yesterday, which I didn't play them yesterday, so that was fine. I didn't play the White Sox, though, so it didn't matter. The Yankees against Jonathan Cannon. If it wasn't for ownership, the Yankees would be an A-tier team. but I do think they will be over-owned today, just like they were over-owned yesterday. And I don't, and maybe they won't be as high owned because people are like, oh well, they failed yesterday, can't play them again. But no, the Judge and Torres and Verdugo, I mean, they have cheap pieces. Stanton, you could build a stack around. You could play a King Blackburn lineup and it's no problem, right? So I'm bumping the Yankees down to the B tier because I think they're going to be over-owned. And it's quite possible they're very over-owned today. It's quite possible, but I don't know. I don't know what the recency bias of people where they failed yesterday, they can't play them again. Okay, so they're the team. They're the top team on the slate. They're 4 points clear, like the next team, and this little like kind of second tier team. The second tier are, according to the bat at least, are the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Rangers, and the Blue Jays. Okay. You got the Dodgers against Colin Ray. You get the Red Sox against Jose Urena, the Rangers against Cutter Crawford, and the Blue Jays against Carson Fulmer. The Blue Jays, I think the Blue Jays will end up being the second highest owned team just due to price. I mean, outside of Vlad Guerrero, I mean, Blue Jays are pretty damn cheap. I don't mind attacking Carson Fulmer. I mean, they project what I mean, it's 7 points lower than the Yankees, but they're cheaper. I guess the stack is cheaper because the Yankees, if you play like Soto and Judge, then you start getting up in price. So I'm going to put the Blue Jays in the B tier just due to price, but they will be over. I think the Blue Jays will be over-owned. And that leaves the Dodgers, the Red Sox, and the Rangers. I think the Red Sox, depending on their lineup. So we take a look here at their lineup. They're moving some people. Where'd they go? They've moved some people around where it's like David Hamilton is leading off, Yoshida batting second, Ref Snyder third. Like outside of Devers, I mean, this stack is pretty affordable. The Red Sox probably be the third highest owned team. Third, I think it would be more than the Blue Jays, maybe commensurate with the Blue Jays. But I like this game in general. I mean, they're playing at Fenway. It's average temperatures. I mean, not like amazing, but it's still the summer. But it's Urena versus Crawford. It has a 10 total, 5.36 implied run total by the Red Sox, 4.64 for the Rangers. This is the game that I would look to target, me personally. So I'm gonna put the Red Sox and the Rangers in the A tier. Because we got to put some A tier team. A tier, we have to have some F tier teams. We can't just throw everyone in the middle. But I think the Yankees and the Blue Jays will be over-owned, and the Red Sox and the Rangers will be under-owned in comparison. Not like hugely under-owned, but I think they have enough of a shot. The Rangers and the Red Sox have enough of a shot at being the top stack on the slate for less ownership than the Yankees and the Blue Jays. And then the Dodgers, who are a little you're getting pricier now with Mookie Betts back. Colin Ray has shown to be at least a competent pitcher at times, but I don't think many people are going to play the Dodgers today. Their implied total is actually quite low, like 4.4 or something, right? The bat loves them. The bat loves the Dodgers, even with that lower implied total. I'm gonna put them on the B tier, right? They're there. I would absolutely consider the Dodgers today as a primary stack against Colin Ray, and I think you get a discounted ownership on them as well. So after this tier, you get like this like mid. There's like a mid. There's like a blob. I like saying the blob. There's a blob of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like nine teams in this blob, right in the middle, and you got going through it. The Padres against Ortiz, the Royals against Matthews, the Braves against Harrison, the Mets against Stripling, the Brewers against Gavin Stone, the Angels against Gausman, the Diamondbacks against Austin Gomber, the Twins against Seth Lugo, and the Giants against Charlie Moore. That's that like blob right there. I'm not sure any of these B tier teams. Let's see. Maybe I can't put the Like the Angels against Gausman, I like as a, Gausman could completely, he could be great, he could be bad. I'll put the Angels in the C tier. I don't know if they get all the way up to the B tier because I don't know how owned Gausman is going to be. Gausman will be owned, but if he's like 15% ownership, it's just not enough leverage for me to put him from the C to the B tier. If he was 20, 25% owned, then you could bump the Angels up to the B tier. But some people would think they're a D tier team, but Gausman will be owned enough. And the Angels have a cheap enough lineup. Right, you can play Brandon Drury at 2,500. Let's see if he still has a pulse. Other than this, I mean, a lot of these teams are just slightly overpriced. Right, they're just like the Diamondbacks are okay today. If like Perdomo leads off, right, at a really cheap price, maybe we put the Diamondbacks up there. How many people are playing the Diamondbacks today? Maybe they actually end up being overowned a little bit. I'm not sure if we get any B tier teams out of this block. I'm not exactly really just from a price perspective. The Padres against Luis Ortiz, maybe. Padres against Luis Ortiz, maybe. I don't know. D tier. I mean, like the Royals against Matthews, the Braves against Harrison. I'll put the Braves down on the D tier. Typically, I don't like attacking Kyle Harrison. And probably the same thing like the Twins against Lugo. I don't think Lugo is going to be owned enough to play the Twins. The Giants against Morton. Not going to do that. I mean, I don't think you're crazy, right? You're not crazy for playing the Braves, the Twins, and the Giants. It's just I ain't doing it. Right? That's typically what the D tier is on this show. The D tier is you're not crazy, but I ain't doing it. Right? The F is really like you're kind of crazy. So you got the Braves, the Twins, the Giants, the Brewers against Gavin Stone, and the Mets against Stripling. Okay. I mean, they're fair. These teams are expensive stacks, and I'd rather just play the Red Sox or the Rangers at the same price. So do we just throw the Mets? Do we just throw the Mets in the D tier also? The Mets, the Brewers. Like you're fine. You can play these teams. Will I play them? No. In my these are maybe large field. If you want, you're spending money when I don't think you need to. I mean, these teams don't have really that like high implied run totals. I think does Arizona? Arizona does. Yeah, 5.28. I think they'll be overowned. Maybe we bump the Diamondbacks up. Maybe. The bat looks at it and goes, the bat doesn't care. The bat prefers the Dodgers with a lower total. So do we trust the bat? Cardi isn't here. If Cardi was here, he would say trust the bat. But I don't know. But I think C tier is enough for the Angels, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres. I think this is fine. This is fine. I mean, some of these are good hitting teams. Like if you want to play the Braves, you can. I'm not a big fan of playing them in San Francisco. Can you play the Mets? Sure, of course. You can play the Mets. Am I rushing to play the Mets today? No. Okay, so the bottom tier are the A's against Blackburn, the Rockies against Rodriguez, the Pirates against Michael King, and the White Sox against Nestor Cortez. Obviously, the White Sox are really cheap, but I don't think you need it. I don't think you need a cheap stack today, like that cheap. So I'm going to do just like what I did yesterday. Put them on the F tier, and they'll score fucking 12 runs. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, they project the worst on the slate against Nestor Cortez. I'm just going to put them on the F tier. The only team that let me just put all of them. Right, you got the A's there. You got the Rockies against Rodriguez, and you got the Pirates against Michael King. I think Michael King is owned enough that maybe you could bump the Pirates up to the D tier. But the problem is that the Pirates, let's take a look at this lineup. I mean, it's not like the Pirates are cheap. Right? O'Neill Cruz is 5K. Brian Reynolds is 5,400. I mean, the bottom of their order is cheap enough. I mean, Rowdy Tellez at 3K. But are you really playing IKF? I mean, Brian Hayes. I mean, they don't project all that well. Joey Barta catchers 3,300. But I mean, you'd probably want to play Reynolds and Cruz in your lineup in a stack, and they have a 3.31 implied run total. I know they're facing a team with a pitcher that's probably going to be 40% owned, so you do get leverage in that sense. But is it going to be enough for the whole five? Are the Pirates going to be the top scoring team on the entire slate? Probably not. Probably not. Even if Michael King fails, Michael King gives up 6 runs. Still possible, still probable. The Pirates aren't the top stack of the slate anyway. So I'd be much more inclined to just fade King than to play the Pirates. So these are my tiers, right? Cardi isn't here. I don't have anyone else on. So no one can veto my stack tiers. So I'd be focusing my lineup more on the A and the B, maybe including a C. So for me, I'll probably fade the Yankees again today. Okay. So my 3 lineups probably have a Red Sox stack, probably have a Rangers stack, and then figure something out. Maybe an Angel stack against Gausman, depending on how owned Gausman gets, and then kind of fill in maybe like a Blue Jays 3-man. In the cheaper, like if I play like let's say I played an Angel stack, which is pretty cheap, I could play like Ohtani in that line. I can play Dodgers in there. But for the most part, from chalk pitcher versus chalk hitters, I'd rather just eat Michael King chalk. I'd rather just eat, if Paul Blackburn gets up there, I'd rather eat that than play the Yankees. So kind of similar to yesterday. If you did that yesterday, you probably cashed, right? I mean, yesterday I was pretty much on, Snell, Sale, Fought, and then fade the Yankees, and you just play the chalk pitchers. The thing is that the Rangers didn't live up to their end of the bargain, so I couldn't get all the way to the top, and I didn't have the White Sox at all. But today's a kind of similar situation, right? I'm targeting the Red Sox Rangers game, fading the Yankees, and Michael King, Paul Blackburn type of combination. You could throw in a Morton, you could throw in a Cortez, and of course, Gausman versus the Angels, I think is the high variance situation of the day where the pitchers are going to be owned, but I also like the hitting on the other side against Gausman. So hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Riding solo today. So if I'm riding solo, you have to give me double the likes, double the thummy thumbs. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Remember, 5 p.m. Eastern, Dean and the guys will be on for Grinders Live. They'll be giving a more detailed look at today's slate, as well as crunch time following that at 6:15 or so. Kevin Roth with the weather update, which I don't think this said. Seattle at Detroit, which isn't even on the slate. Like, this is the entire weather forecast. Like, nothing. There's no weather out there. It should be fine, but it'll be on anyway. So tune in then and tune back in tomorrow, where I'm always here Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy, props, and pick'em on RotoGrinders Today.